All
All right. So, hi, Jordan. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing great. All right, guys. So, today we have Jordan here. She's also a veteran eczema mother. Her kid, her son, also suffered from eczema. And today we are bringing you guys a truth about a real eczema parent and the stress that comes along with the eczema while navigating our kids' journey. Right, Jordan? What do you have to say about that?
I mean, thinking back, like at the beginning of the journey, like in hindsight, I saw how stressed I was, but I felt like I was managing it really well.
Yeah.
Um, we met through Rebecca, her
Yes.
program and her community, and we joined her program. I saw like all these people come in and find resolution with their child's eczema
Yes.
and leave the group. And, we were still there and we were seeing progress, but not as much as, not the complete resolution that all these other
Yes.
people were getting. So,
Yes.
about, I think almost a year in, Rebecca was like, I think you need to like focus on your stress, maybe.
Yes. I remember that too. Yes. That is like so familiar. I know. I remember that too. Like,
Yeah.
because when Rebecca said that to me, maybe Sweta, you can focus on your stress. And I was like, what is she talking about? And I even remember telling her, you know what? Once my daughter gets better, I will be fine. You know? So that might be a very similar feeling to you as well, Jordan, right?
Yeah, I was like, I'm not stressed. I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, well, I was like, what? How would my stress even affect him anyway? And she was
Exactly.
like, it's kind of like Wi-Fi. You can't see it, but it's there.
Oh, I
And
love that. I love that analogy.
yes, and I forget what, but basically it can go through walls. It's you're affecting your whole environment.
Yes.
And um so she recommended EFT tapping, and I had, I think, 8 sessions.
Yes.
Um, and what blew my mind was it wasn't even like these big, like deep sessions. It was just kind of scratching the surface.
True.
I was feeling relief. I was able to like take on a new project the next day or, have more mental space.
Yes.
But what was cool was his eczema started presenting differently. So like after the
Yes.
session, it was like you could see some healing, some resolution for him.
True. True.
And his mannerism or his personality or something shift with him as well. And even my other children. So I was like, okay, maybe there's something to this. And so I kept going. And yeah, it was a really incredible experience because usually you don't see like those immediate shifts. If someone else, like your child, has something else,
Yes.
but having that physical feedback on Luke's skin it was cool.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So the stress on parents is so often unspoken and untalked about this, and that is why we're here and telling the truth. I'm trying to bring on more parents, and because I had a very similar experience, my very first tapping, and I saw a shift on my daughter's skin. And also with young children, I think you'll agree with me. You're talking about the Wi-Fi, right? So it's the energy that connects parents and kids. You know, nervous system are so built, very similar nervous system we carry because our kids are with us for 9 months. So, when they are out, our nervous system is same. So like, for example, when kids are itchy on their skin, when we are stressed out and we're like, oh my God, my kid's itching, I think especially with young kids, they mimic that emotions,
Mm,
right? They absorb that emotion. So they feel that, okay, this is a moment for stress. So itching becomes stress for them. First of all, they're already so uncomfortable in the skin. On top of that, and kids, like with eczema kids, I think they not only itch if they have really true itch, but they also itch if they are cranky, if they're hungry, and if parents is stressed, also they get that stress and they itch. So one of the reason why parents has to, I think, focus, if they want to be a better eczema parent, I think they can maybe focus a little bit on working on their stress as well, so that they can also see the shift, that shift that Jordan and I were talking about here. We'll start seeing the shift, right? So Jordan, what about the guilt feeling that the mother, especially the mother, carries while they're navigating the kids' eczema journey?
All right. So yeah, the guilt was definitely something that was challenging for me um to swallow, I guess.
I know.
Um and yeah, I mean, it's hard because it's something that with eczema is so in your face, I guess you could say.
Yes.
It's always there. You look and you see it. A lot of people's symptoms, a lot of kids' symptoms are not on the surface. They're not seen. They're not in your face so much. They're not itching 24/7. Some kids might have other symptoms that just are not as evident.
Yes.
And so I had to remind myself that like everyone's dealing with something, and I looked at it from a different perspective of, I mean, it took a little bit of learning
Yes.
and being in community with other people and in Rebecca's community to make that shift, but that mindset of, wow, I am so blessed that this was brought to my attention, because
Yes.
all of my symptoms, like, I kind of just brushed under the rug or thought, oh, it's normal, but those symptoms aren't normal. Your body's
Yes.
trying to tell you something. And so Luke came into this world and shined light on that for me.
Yeah, that's so
So
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, and just that, like I said, like that perspective shift of, instead of it being something that's like draining of like, why does my kid have eczema, or why do we have to go through this?
Yes.
um Shifting it to, okay, how oh,
Yes. No, yeah,
I'm
no,
trying
I,
to think of the best words to put to it. But yeah, just being thankful that,
yeah,
okay, there are some health symptoms that we have, and there is something that we can do about it. And I want to be as healthy as I can, so I can be a part of my kids' lives when they're 20 years old or 40
yes,
and having kids, So I don't want to have those health symptoms. So taking care of it
true.
now while we're young is such a gift. And yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know that was so beautiful. And I really like the point of what you said, that eczema is right in your face. That is so true. That's why I think we get so much triggered with eczema, because it's right there in our face. Like, they're itching, they're flare-ups, they're cranky. And then not only that, also the food that we have to work on with them, every day, for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. So it's right there. Eczema is right there in your face. I just loved it. I think that's why we get triggered, and most of the parents out there get triggered because it's right there. And the other thing is how you said that healing them inside out, like, while they're still young. I think that is so important. Like, the reason why we work on our young kids so much, and, we try to feed them healthy now, because, hey, we want to spend really happy time while they're 20 or 30, and then as less toxin as we can, you know, give it to them, or teach them how, when they grow old. So if we detox now, or whatever needs to be done, if we do it now while they're young, and that's so beautiful. And detoxing not only has to be physical, it's also emotional detox that mostly we don't really talk about. Eczema kid I've seen brings so much of emotional toll on them as well.
Mm.
I can go on and on and on about that. But since we're talking about parents, I think it's so important to realize that, eczema is right on our face, and we really have to work with our stress, because there's so many decisions that we need to make as well. Navigating from doctors to foods to, um, all those. So it's sometimes it's like, we have to be on top of the game, but even it's not really a game, it's like a journey. And also you put that question, right? Like, will how fast it can heal? Why is it not healing faster? So sometimes eczema is like, wow, my kid's skin is so clear. And sometimes, never mind, here we go, there's a flare up. So that up, I feel like that's an, up and down, like a roller coaster of our emotions, right?
Which is tiring, it messes with you because you're like, yes, this is it. We've found
Exactly.
it. We've completed the journey. And then you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah, I think my own journey, that's what it really messed my head, is like the roller coaster, literally up and down of those emotions. Like few days I'm like, yes, I got this, I'm happy. And then bam, next day they're not sleeping at night, no sleep for you. And then bam, there's flare up. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So, but with EFT tapping, I think I was able naturally, even though there was a roller coaster on their eczema skin, on my kids' skin, and by the way, both my kids have severe eczema on their skin, I think it helped me really calm my emotions down. And when that happened, so my daughter's my first eczema journey for me, while navigating my daughter's skin was very difficult emotionally for me. For my son, I think, yes, it's emotional for me. It's hard, but I think I was more able to take that step back and take a breathe in before I approach, any kind of support or help for him. Yeah, and let's talk about a little bit about being there for them while they're itching. Yeah, what do you have to say? Like, there are a few tips I use for itching, like a safe itching. One is like, just put them footed pajama, cut down their nails and everything, and let them itch. Because what I learned is itching is the last thing that really goes away in eczema. So because the disease itself is, flaky skin, red skin, bumpy skin, and there's itching. So itching would be there as long as the eczema is not healed. Sometimes even if you don't see anything on the skin, there's still a little itch.
Yeah.
So so what I have to say about the itch and being there for them while they're itching.
Okay. Well, first, I think having the mentor, Rebecca, and her sharing about her going through her childhood and being told to stop itching, or, I won't go into depth on her personal experience, but, just imagine. I mean, I've had bug bites that I'm like, oh my gosh, I won't stop itching, and then I'm like, I remember Luke was real young. I got a bug bite, so itchy. And I was like, when I said, oh my gosh, it won't stop itching, it just had like this light bulb moment of like, wow, this is a fraction of what my son is going through.
True.
And it really just made me have a lot of compassion for him. So yeah, just being there for him, trying to find some way of providing him comfort while he's itching. I refrain from telling him not to stop, or from telling him to stop itching. It's like, okay, do you want mommy to sit with you? Would you like a cold, wet rag? Just finding some way of, just providing that comfort.
Yes.
I usually refrain from giving them, like, when you're at the park and the mom's like, the child's like, oh, would you like a juice box? No, we're not providing like food for that, but like just the emotional comfort,
exactly.
not, the reward kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. And when kids are itching, us as a mother or a parent, we feel a little bit frustration, and we feel that we failed as a parent when we see our kid itching. But I think, and then like you said, being there for them and providing that comfort. First, I think a mom has to be comfort. Like how we started, like in the beginning, we were talking about, if the mom or whoever is the caregiver itself is frustrated and it's not in that mental space, it is really difficult to be present for them. And then also our frustration and our stress is being absorbed by our young kids. Right. So, I think that is why EFT tapping really comes in hand to help them, so that, be in that mental space, so that we can be present with our eczema kid,
Yeah.
because they need us, so we become their comfort. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit, last little bit about community. How do you think you have been helped being in Rebecca's community, or how general in community, being with like-minded mothers, being with mothers, with who is navigating kids' eczema journey really helped you to, make your kid eczema free? How does that help?
Mm. Honestly, you feel so isolated. There's especially, you don't see a lot of other kids with eczema. And it might not even be, they might have it, but it's not like being shown, it might be in a spot that it's covered. So we haven't crossed paths with very many, that at least that were Luke's case, like that severe. So it was very isolating. It didn't run in our family. No one that we know of. I mean, immediate family, cousins, like aunts, uncles, no one had it. So it was new territory. And having the community of, because people can, like your parents and people can be like there for you, but they don't really understand what you're going
Yes,
through. The
true.
sleepless nights, like even my parents coming in town and staying with us for a week, they still can't grasp,
True.
what you're going
True.
through day in and day out, 365,
Yes.
So having the community of people who are actually going through it with you was just invaluable. I mean, it was brilliant idea on Rebecca's part to have that aspect to her program. Even doing group tapping with, in that aspect, like, because you're all going through the same thing, the frustrations, the worry, the why, all those questions, all the emotions that go into it, you're all dealing with it. So the group tapping was very valuable.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to touch on something else, but I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. But I think you've given us so much valuable, thing about eczema and taking care of eczema. Yeah, I think we met, Jordan and I, we met like 5 years back in a community, right, where both our kids were suffering from eczema. And I think being with Jordan and so many other moms gave me that confidence. I remember Jordan, like she's more experienced than me when we were in that community, and I remember she was more relaxed than me, and she had a son who was itching, and she was more relaxed than me, and I was thinking, oh my God, that gave me hope that if another mother, whose kid is suffering from eczema and itching, and she was more calm, I want to be in that state too. And I think together we did, I would say 99% I achieved that, because now I'm not mostly triggered if my son is itching. I'm not like, oh my God, he's itching. That feeling. I don't get that feeling. I just get that feeling. One, okay, I'm going to let him itch, safe itch. Second is, did he eat something? I was like, nope. If nope, then I'm just going to let him itch, and I'm going to talk to him, be present with him. Like, okay, what is it going with you? And sometimes my son right now is 2.5, and I really have to remind that, you know what, you're hungry, you're not really itchy. Yeah, because when we are under stress, we can't even think of that. We really think it's eczema, it's eczema, it's eczema. My daughter, there were a few symptoms where she was itching, and I felt it's eczema. Now, obviously, she's 99% eczema free. And then when I think of that moment now, I feel that, you know what, that is such a normal kid behavior. And I just blame it on eczema.
I remember when Luke first got potty trained, and he started waking up through the night again, and I thought it was the eczema, right? But we realized that he had to go to the bathroom. So if he woke up and started itching, we're like, do you need to go pee? And he's like, no. I'm like, will you just try to go pee for me, please? And so I would take him to the bathroom. As long as mommy asks, he was okay with it. And so I'd take him to the bathroom, he'd go pee, we'd go back in bed, and he would pretty much fall right back to sleep. So I like
Exactly.
that you made that point. Totally valid. It's not always the eczema, it could be the situation as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also teething,
Yeah.
teething makes kids so much cranky. But if your kids has eczema, we really feel that no, he's cranky because of his eczema. So how we make everything about eczema, 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 and then that is why it is very important for mothers to be with other mothers, like-minded mothers, and then talk through it, give support to each other so that you realize that, oh, it could be other things as well and not only eczema, right? So yeah, that's what it is. And remind me, Jordan, if I'm missing anything when it comes to eczema and the stress for the
There was
parents.
something earlier, it's kind of off subject now, but that you had kind of touched on a little
Yes.
bit about like the stress of food.
Oh,
And
yes.
that was a big one. What was the point that I wanted to make about it? Now that I brought it up, it just left my mind.
Yeah, the stress about food, what to give, what not to give.
Yeah. Darn.
I
I
know.
have to cut this out.
Oh, that's okay.
Uh,
Yeah, the
Dang it.
food part is huge, There's so many stress and exhaustion when it comes to eczema. The food part, the lotion part, tell me about it. Like how many lotions I've tried, even if it's just a natural lotion, still so many lotions. And I remember going to every farmer's market and trying to find that, natural lotions that might really do the magic trick. And then shall I do the test? Shall I do allergy test? Shall I take my kid to a dermatologist? Or maybe a homeopath, maybe a naturopath, maybe to this doctor, maybe to this healer, maybe to that healer. There's so much of navigation that needs in every sector of the life. And that brings, again, exhaustion, and I think for moms, it's very important to take a break for yourself as well and not making eczema like you said, on your face, but we can always take a break, be with other like-minded mom, talking with them, what are they doing? What are the different they're seeing? And also the hope, when you talk with other moms, I feel that we get lots of hope from other moms as well. And also if they're going through a similar journey and if you see other moms who are making progress, you get that confidence as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, yep, I think that's what it is for today. So, thank you everyone for listening and bye bye.
Bye.
And yeah, let me stop recording.